Tonight is not just another night. This is not just another hour passing by. Heaven has already made a decree, and that decree is this: you have been chosen, you have been marked, and your reward is on the way. I'm talking to somebody who has cried in silence, someone who has been faithful in the shadows. You've stood when it was easier to fall. You've praised when it would have been easier to complain. You've kept sowing seeds of obedience when all you saw was a desert. But I came with a prophetic word for you. God saw it, and God is about to settle it. There is something powerful about being chosen. It means you were selected, set apart, and called out for a purpose greater than yourself. And when God chooses someone, it's never by accident, never by popularity, and never by man's approval. You don't need a platform, a title, or a spotlight for God to call your name. His calling reaches beyond human recognition. It breaks past what others think and dives deep into his divine intention. When God chooses you, it means you carry destiny in your spirit. You may not look like the ideal candidate. You may not have the qualifications the world looks for. But God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. That means before you ever made a mistake, before you ever took your first breath, God had already written your story. He already saw the battles you would face, the heartbreaks you would endure, and the strength you would gain through every fire. Being chosen doesn't mean the path will be easy. It means the destination is worth it. It means you carry a weight of glory on your life that can only be activated through obedience, trust, and perseverance. Others may have overlooked you. They may have underestimated your value, misjudged your worth, or tried to silence your voice. But what people think about you has no bearing on what God has declared over you. People look at the outward appearance, but God sees the heart. He sees the purity behind your worship, the integrity behind your decisions, the humility behind your silence. He saw you in the back room, praying when no one else was watching. He saw you serve when no one applauded. He saw you stay faithful when the reward wasn't visible. That's why you're chosen. To be chosen means that God's hand is on your life in a unique way. It means that your steps are ordered even when they feel uncertain. It means there is a fire in you that the enemy cannot put out, and a purpose in you that cannot be shaken. The world may not understand it. Friends may walk away because of it, but that doesn't change the truth. You were chosen not to fit in, but to stand out. You were chosen to carry light into darkness, to bring truth where lies have ruled, and to walk in favor where others only see failure. Being chosen is not about being better than others. It's about being set apart for something sacred. You carry an assignment that is divinely designed. That's why you've faced the kind of warfare others can't comprehend. That's why your battles have been more intense, your delays more frustrating, your journey more lonely. Because the chosen path is never the crowded path. It's often the road less traveled, the one marked with tears, with discipline, and with sacrifice. But it's also the path that leads to glory. It's the path where God reveals his power through your weakness, where he shows his faithfulness through your endurance. There is a reward for being chosen, but it comes to those who stay the course. You don't have to fight to be seen. You don't have to strive to be accepted. You don't need to chase validation. You are already approved by the one who matters most. Heaven has already stamped your identity with purpose. And tonight, God is reminding you of that identity. He's saying, I see you. I chose you. I have not changed my mind about you. Even if you feel unworthy, God's choosing was never based on your performance. It was based on his plan. He doesn't need your perfection. He wants your surrender. He chose you knowing your flaws, your failures, your fears. and still said, "You're mine." That kind of love is beyond human understanding. That kind of calling is beyond human logic. So don't shrink back. Don't second guess your value. Don't let people's rejection define your direction. You were chosen by God, handpicked to fulfill a purpose that cannot be stolen, delayed, or erased. This is not the time to hide. This is the time to rise up. The same God who called you is the same God who will carry you. He hasn't brought you this far to leave you. And he hasn't chosen you just to watch you fall. He's about to reward your faithfulness, because chosen ones never go unnoticed by heaven. The world may not see it yet, but heaven already declared it. You are chosen, and the reward is already on the way. Faithfulness is one of the most powerful qualities in the kingdom of God. It is not flashy. It doesn't always get recognition. It's not always praised by the crowd. But in heaven, faithfulness is the currency of reward. God sees what others overlook. He values consistency over charisma, obedience over applause, and loyalty over limelight. When someone remains faithful in silence, in struggle, and in seasons of waiting, it captures heaven's attention in a way nothing else can. The Bible is clear. He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, not casually, not occasionally, but diligently. There are people who've been walking through dry seasons, praying through storms, and sowing seeds of faith, even when they see no harvest. To the world, it may seem pointless, but to God, it's precious. Every quiet act of obedience, every moment you said no to compromise, every tear you shed while choosing to trust him anyway, every time you worshiped in the middle of heartbreak. That's faithfulness, and heaven never overlooks it. There is a reward set aside for those who remain steadfast when it would be easier to quit. Some rewards come suddenly, but many are stored up through years of obedience. You may feel like your faithfulness has gone unnoticed, but let me remind you, nothing escapes God's sight. He doesn't miss a single moment. He remembers the time you showed kindness when you had nothing left to give. He saw when you kept showing up, kept serving, kept believing, even when doors closed and prayers seemed unanswered. He watched you choose purity when temptation tried to overtake you. That kind of faithfulness doesn't evaporate into thin air. It builds, it stacks, and in the fullness of time, it overflows. Your reward may not come packaged the way you expect. It may not arrive in the form the world calls success. But when God rewards, he rewards in ways that touch the soul. He brings peace that money can't buy. He releases joy that no position can offer. He opens doors no man can shut. And he positions you in places your resume could never take you. That's the kind of reward faithfulness unlocks. There's a reason the journey has felt long. There's a reason the pressure has intensified. Faithfulness always precedes breakthrough. When you're closest to your reward, the resistance often increases. But don't let the pressure make you forget the promise. You've come too far to turn back now. You've sown too much to give up on your harvest. And the good news is, the reward is closer than you think. It's not in the distant future. It's not in some far-off season. It's coming tonight. Because God responds to faithfulness with favor. He answers obedience with overflow. Some have questioned if their sacrifice has mattered. They've wondered if their pain has purpose. Let this be your confirmation. Yes, it mattered. Yes, it has purpose. And yes, the reward is on the way. The nights of crying are being exchanged for mornings of dancing. The burden you've carried is about to be lifted. The weariness in your spirit is about to be refreshed, not because you earned it, but because God promised it. And he does not lie. Faithfulness in the kingdom is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about standing when it would be easier to sit. It's about believing when doubt is louder than hope. It's about trusting when the outcome is unclear. That kind of faithfulness shakes the heavens. It causes God to move. And tonight, he is moving in your direction. He's bringing restoration to what was broken. He's releasing answers to what's been delayed. He's unlocking provision where there has been lack. He's opening doors that no man can shut because your faithfulness made room for his reward. You didn't serve for the spotlight, but he's about to shine his glory through your life. You didn't give to be seen, but he's about to bless you in a way that can't be hidden. So hold your head high. Your reward is not a fantasy. It's a divine promise. And that promise is being fulfilled right now. The night may have been long, but the morning is here. And with it comes the reward you've been waiting for. Heaven saw it all, and heaven is responding. Your faithfulness is being honored. Your endurance is being rewarded. And tonight, the answer is arriving. There comes a point in every believer's life where the waiting becomes heavy. The prayers feel unanswered. The silence of heaven becomes louder than the noise of the world. You ask yourself, how much longer, Lord? How many more nights must I endure? How many more times must I hold on when I feel like letting go? But the truth is, delay does not mean denial. Just because God hasn't moved on your timetable doesn't mean he's not moving at all. What he promised is still on the way, and what he ordained cannot be erased by time or circumstance. Delay is often the space where God prepares the blessing and prepares you for it. It's where he strengthens your character, tests your motives, purifies your heart, and stretches your faith. If he gave it to you too soon, you might mishandle it. If he answered too quickly, you might think it was your own doing. But in the delay, he reminds you that the promise is not the prize, he is. And when your heart is fully aligned with him, that's when he knows you're ready. You see, some things take time because they're worth it. God isn't interested in giving you something temporary. He's not in the business of quick fixes or shallow rewards. He's building something in you that will last. And the longer it takes, the greater the testimony. The more painful the process, the more powerful the promise. The longer the delay, the more undeniable the deliverance. When it finally comes, no one will be able to say it happened by luck or chance. It will be clear that it was the hand of God alone. Tonight is the night that heaven is leaning in. Tonight is the night when what was held up is being released. This isn't just another moment passing by. This is the moment where delay meets divine timing. The prayers you thought were buried have been kept in God's timing vault. And now the key has turned. The cry you whispered months or even years ago has reached its appointed hour. He didn't ignore it. He was aligning everything around it so that when the answer comes, it comes in fullness. You haven't been waiting in vain. Every second has been counted. Every minute has been measured. Every tear has been collected. You're not just waiting for a blessing, you're being positioned for one. And tonight, things are shifting. The weight is lifting. The answer is breaking through the clouds of delay. Heaven is moving on your behalf, not because of panic, but because of perfect timing. God is never late. He doesn't operate on your clock. He governs time itself. You may not have seen the progress, but it was happening underground. Like a seed buried in the soil, growth was taking place where no one could see it. You may have felt forgotten, but you were being hidden for the right moment. God never forgets what he starts. He finishes every good work. He completes every promise. And what he began in you, he's faithful to finish. Don't let the delay cause you to doubt. Don't let the silence convince you to settle. Don't stop knocking when the door is just about to open. This is not the moment to back down. This is the moment to lift your eyes and say, God, I still believe. Because the reward isn't just coming someday, it's coming tonight. And not because you've been perfect, but because he is. Not because you earned it, but because he promised it. The devil wants you to think the delay means denial. He wants you to believe the blessing passed you by. But that's a lie. What God has for you cannot be stolen. It cannot be lost. It cannot be buried. It may have taken longer than expected, but it's arriving right on time. Tonight is the night where doors swing open. Tonight is the night where the breakthrough hits your house. Tonight is the night where delay ends and destiny begins. All the nights you waited, all the times you held on by a thread, it wasn't wasted. It was preparation. And now the answer is being released. Many know God as the one who rescues, who saves, who pulls us out of the pit when we're drowning. And yes, he does all of that. But there is a side of God that often goes overlooked, the side that rewards. He's not just a lifeline in times of trouble. He's also a God who blesses beyond expectation. He's not limited to damage control. He is the God who builds, who restores, who multiplies. When you remain faithful to him, he doesn't just bring you out. He brings you into something greater. He rewards with abundance, with peace, with clarity, with favor that can't be explained by logic. God is a rewarder, and his rewards are never shallow. They don't fade like earthly treasures. They're eternal, spiritual, and life-changing. Some people have only seen God through the lens of struggle. They've only experienced him in their desperation. But when you walk with him long enough, when you trust him through dry seasons and stand firm in storms, you'll begin to witness his nature as the rewarder. He doesn't just restore what you lost. He goes beyond. He restores the years the locusts have eaten. He gives beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for heaviness. That's his nature. That's his heart. There are rewards for obedience. There are rewards for purity. There are rewards for standing when you could have bowed. God is not blind to your sacrifice. He is not deaf to your prayers. Every act of obedience is recorded. Every hidden choice to honor him is seen. Even when no one applauds you, heaven takes note. You may not have received recognition from man, but the reward from God is far more valuable. And when it comes, it won't be small. It won't be quiet. It won't be something you can miss. It will be undeniable. It will be marked by heaven's fingerprint. People often assume that God's rewards are limited to spiritual blessings. Peace, joy, inner strength. And yes, those are the greatest gifts. But he also rewards tangibly. He opens doors no man can shut. He provides resources, positions, influence, and connections that make no sense in the natural. Not because we deserve them, but because he is generous. His rewards reflect his nature, good, faithful, abundant. He doesn't bless according to our works, but according to his grace and promises. Some people have served faithfully for years without seeing the fruit. They've stayed pure in a world of compromise. They've sacrificed opportunities because they chose righteousness. And now they're wondering if it was worth it. The answer is yes. Every unseen choice has been building towards something. The reward may have seemed delayed, but it was being prepared. The longer the wait, the greater the reward. And when God decides it's time, nothing and no one can stop what he has prepared for those who love him. You've got to understand that when God rewards, he rewards on a level that silences every doubt, answers every question, and redeems every tear. He blesses in a way that causes others to take notice, not so you can boast, but so he can be glorified. Because when he pours out, it brings light to your life that others cannot ignore. They will ask how it happened. They will wonder what changed. And the only answer will be, God did it. Tonight is not just another evening, it's a divine turning point. For those who have been sowing in tears, the reaping is coming in joy. For those who have been faithful in obscurity, the reward is coming publicly. For those who have kept going when quitting was easier, the reward is not just a possibility, it's a promise. He said he is a rewarder, and he keeps his word. He doesn't overlook loyalty. He doesn't ignore obedience. He responds to it. So prepare your heart. Open your spirit. Get ready to receive, not with striving, not with fear, but with expectation, because tonight, heaven is moving. Tonight, the reward is arriving. Not just a rescue, but a blessing. Not just survival, but overflow. Not just relief, but reward. Because when God moves, he doesn't just lift you up, he sets you apart. He honors the ones who honor him, and he's about to prove, once again, that he is not just your deliverer, he is your rewarder. In the eyes of God, position always outweighs performance. The world celebrates those who perform well, who appear flawless, who succeed outwardly. But God looks at the heart. He's not impressed by perfection. He's drawn to posture. He's moved by the position of your soul, the alignment of your spirit, the humility in your walk. You don't have to be perfect to be chosen. You don't have to have it all together to be rewarded. What matters most is your willingness to surrender, to remain in alignment with his will, even when everything in life is trying to pull you off course. Position is about posture, posture of faith, posture of worship, posture of trust. God honors those who stay in position, even when their circumstances are out of control. It's about being rooted in truth when storms rage around you. It's about holding fast to God's promises when you have every reason to let go. Your posture in the waiting room of life reveals more about your faith than any performance on a stage ever could. God is not looking for outward perfection. He's looking for hearts that remain open, hands that remain lifted, and spirits that remain willing. Many people disqualify themselves because of their failures. They look at their mistakes, their flaws, their weaknesses, and they assume they've missed their chance. But God does not operate on that system. He doesn't ask for flawless behavior. He asks for surrendered hearts. He's not looking for spiritual athletes. He's looking for those who will stay faithful in the shadows, who will remain in position even when no one is watching, who will trust him even when he seems silent. Because position is about obedience. And obedience often doesn't come with applause. It comes with tests. When you're in the right position spiritually, you can access promises that have nothing to do with what you've achieved. Grace flows into the lives of those who are properly aligned. Favor is released to those who are submitted to God's authority. You don't have to work your way into blessing. You just have to stay in the place God has called you to be. Stay in his presence. Stay in faith. Stay in prayer. Stay in his word. That's how you position yourself for the reward. God's blessings are not bought with performance. They're accessed through relationship. You could do all the right things and still feel empty if your heart isn't aligned with him. But you could also be in the midst of failure, regret, and uncertainty, and still be in the perfect place for a breakthrough. If your heart is surrendered, the thief on the cross didn't perform well. He didn't live a holy life, but in one moment of right posture, of repentance and belief, he received eternal reward. That's the power of position over performance. Staying in position doesn't mean life will be easy. It means you stay rooted when things get hard. It means you trust God's timing when delay tries to convince you to give up. It means you lift your hands in praise when everything in you wants to question. You resist the urge to control, to manipulate, to strive, and instead say, God, I'm still here. I trust you. That's what moves the heart of God. That's the kind of faith that positions you for miracles. You may not have done everything right. You may have doubted, struggled, even fallen short. But if your heart is turned toward him, you're still in the right place. He's not asking you to earn it. He's asking you to trust him for it. He's asking you to stay aligned, stay surrendered, stay expectant, because blessings are not the result of performance. They are the result of presence. And when you remain in God's presence, even in your weakest moment, you're in position for reward. So don't let your past disqualify your future. Don't let your mistakes convince you that you've missed your moment. If you're still standing, still believing, still seeking, then you're still in position. And tonight, your position is being honored. Heaven is responding not to your perfection, but to your posture. The reward is not being released because you've done everything right, but because you've stayed in the right place. And when God sees that, he responds, not later, not someday, but tonight. The reward is already in motion. The blessing is already en route, because position always attracts heaven's response. When God decides to reward, he doesn't do it in secret. He moves in such a way that no one can take credit for it. His blessings are supernatural, undeniable, and unmistakable. There are moments when his favor shows up so powerfully, so visibly, that even those who doubted you are left speechless. When he opens a door, it can't be shut. When he lifts someone up, no opposition can pull them down. That's the kind of reward that's coming. Not a small gesture, not a quiet moment, but a bold, supernatural demonstration of his goodness and his glory. You've been faithful in silence. You've obeyed when it didn't make sense. You've stayed the course when others walked away. And heaven has taken note. You've come through fire and didn't lose your faith. You walked through storms and kept praising. You stood when everything in you wanted to quit. And now God is about to respond in a way that no one will be able to deny. This next season of your life will be marked by the fingerprints of God, not just because of what you did, but because of who he is, faithful to reward those who remain in position and trust him through the process. The reward will not be ordinary. It will not be explainable. It will not be something that can be calculated or predicted. It will exceed expectations. It will cause you to look back and say, only God could have done this. That's what happens when heaven moves on your behalf. That's what happens when the supernatural breaks into your natural. Doors open that should have stayed shut. Opportunities appear that weren't even on your radar. Resources come from unexpected places. People begin to bless you without knowing why. That's the atmosphere of the undeniable. That's when the reward becomes a testimony. There are blessings that will come not because you chased them, but because you chased him. You sought his face, not just his hand. You loved him when you had nothing to gain. You followed him not for the blessing, but because of the relationship. And now the reward is being released, not as a transaction, but as an outpouring of his love. You didn't have to beg for it. You didn't have to manipulate your way into it. You simply stayed connected, and now the fruit is coming. Some of the greatest moves of God begin in quiet obedience and end in public breakthrough. The world may not have seen your struggle, but they're about to see your victory. The ones who saw you cry will soon see you celebrate. The ones who questioned your endurance will soon witness your elevation. God is a God who puts his glory on display, not for pride, but for proof. He wants to show the world what happens when someone trusts him through every trial. And your life is about to become a living testimony of that truth. Don't be surprised when the reward arrives. Don't be caught off guard when things begin to shift suddenly. This is what you've been preparing for. This is what your faith was building toward. This is the moment heaven had scheduled while you were wondering if the wait was worth it. And it won't just be a blessing. It will be a breakthrough that brings transformation. It will affect not just your life, but the lives around you. Others will be inspired by what God does for you. They'll see what happens when someone refuses to give up and continues to believe even when nothing makes sense. God is not a silent giver. When he rewards, he makes sure it brings him glory. It brings healing. It brings restoration. It brings a shift so complete that the past no longer has power over your future. You may have started in struggle, but you will finish in strength. You may have walked through rejection, but you're stepping into favor. And not just any favor. Undeniable, supernatural favor that follows you, surrounds you, and elevates you. So get ready. The atmosphere is changing. The weight of waiting is turning into the wind of reward. You've cried long enough. You've waited long enough. You've believed long enough. And now the undeniable reward of God is on its way. It's not just coming eventually. It's coming suddenly. It's coming clearly. And when it comes, every voice of doubt will be silenced, every lie of the enemy exposed, and every promise fulfilled. Because what God rewards, he rewards completely, and when he moves, it leaves no room for question, only for worship.